Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to do another Afterthoughts show. And so this Afterthought show is going to be kind of intermingled with some stuff that's going on and things that I've done, because last week was a really slow week, but there was some interesting things that I was able to uncover. So let me start off talking about my weekend. So on Saturday we have this thing in Tampa called the Margarita Festival, and this was the 5th year that they did it, and it was something that I had always wanted to do. So I put it out there on Facebook, who wants to be my designated driver for the Margarita Festival. So a friend and also cousin of mine, she says, hey, I'm game, let's go check it out. So the day of the show, it was $30 to get into this thing. And so I went on their website, and it had a little banner up there that said you could buy your tickets from Walgreens. So on our way out, we go to the Walgreens, we get the tickets, and they were $10 off. So we got in for $20 instead of $30. So then we get over to Tampa, which is like a 30-minute drive from St. Petersburg. And the line is down the dang street. And so we were like, thank you, Jesus, that we got our tickets early. We don't have to stand in that long line. So the garage that's closest to the park, it was at Curtis Hickson Park, the garage was full. So now we're riding around, trying to find a parking space. So I used to work for the city of Tampa. So I said, girl, let's just go over here to this Fort Brook garage. And we're going to have to walk like 6 or 7 blocks, but it'll be worth it. We won't be caught in traffic when we're trying to leave and all that good stuff. So we parked the car, walk the blocks to get back to the place, and we get ready to go in. And we're like, oh, there's nobody at the check-in table. We can just walk right in. Well, how about that long line that we saw? That was for people who already had their tickets. Like, the line to buy tickets and get in was shorter than the line for people who already had their tickets. So then we get into this line, and we are walking up, and so there was this black girl standing there, and she had on, the little volunteer uniform, and she had a bag full of wristbands. And so, you know what, let me get the wristband. So she had a bag full of these wristbands, and she tells us, okay, go in through here and then just follow the line. So then they pulled like the Disney World theme park action, where they have like the little zigzag line to make you think that the line is moving faster than it really is. And so we go and we start doing the little zigzag thing, and there were more volunteers, and everybody was standing there with a bag full of these wristbands. And so we finally get somebody who says, hey, where's your ticket? So we give them the ticket. They give us the wristband. And then they say, just follow the line. So we continue through the zigzag, going through. And then we get to like a counter with a tent. But the people that were standing there, they're handing out like maps for the event. So we take one of the maps, and then we end up back out on the sidewalk with the black girl we were telling you about that was standing there with the doggone wristband. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This was a predominantly white event. So we were trying to figure out, when we got to her, why she didn't just give us a hookup and say, girl, here go your wristbands. You don't have to go through that long maze, just going on through the gate. But I guess she was doing her job. So we finally get back to the checkpoint table that I was telling you about we saw when we first walked up. So we go through the checkpoint, and then we get into the event. And so the way they had it set up was over on this side, they had like VIP seating, and then they had where you could buy your margaritas. And then all the way on the other side of the park, up 2 flights of stairs, was where the food was. We made the mistake of going towards the liquor. So I was like, okay, it's hot out here. I haven't eaten all day. There's no way I can drink liquor on an empty stomach. So we go up these steps, go stand in line. There was somebody selling fresh fruit. So it was like, oh my God, yes. Stand in line for this doggone fresh fruit. Get up there to pay. And the lady says, oh, we can't take credit cards or cash. And so we was like, well, how are we supposed to pay? No, I take that back. She told my cousin, she said, oh, put your wristband here. So they had these little, when people use the square and they have that little thing with the iPad in it and you swipe the side. So they had one of those. So my cousin takes her wristband, bumps it up to the light, nothing happens. Bumps it up to the light, nothing happens. So she says, well, what is this supposed to do? I'm not understanding what's going on. So then the girl tells us, oh, you can't pay with a credit card or cash because you put your cash and your credit card on the wristband. And then once you get ready to pay for stuff, you scan it on this machine and then it'll automatically either deduct your cash or charge your credit card. So we were just standing there totally lost, like, what are you talking about? So then she says, well, they're doing this at all the festivals now, because she started giving us, the politics and how the people, when they're doing festivals, I guess they share the money with the vendors, so that everybody gets a fair cut or whatever. And so people were taking cash for transactions. So now they've come up with this way where there's no cash and no credit cards exchange, and that way the festival promoters are getting their fair cut of the money. So we had to go all the way back to the entrance to get in line so that we could load our credit cards onto this wristband. I was like, are you serious right now? So there were ATM machines next to these lines. And so I said, well, why do they have an ATM machine out here if you can't pay with cash? So the cash was for people who didn't want to put their credit card on here. So you go to the ATM machine, you take cash out of your bank account, and then you load the cash to this wristband. But then here's the catch. If you don't go back to the counter to let them know, hey, I'm leaving, I didn't spend all my cash, at midnight your cash was automatically donated to the charity of their liking, which I'm sure was their pocketbook. I was just like, what kind of mess is this? Like, I go to festivals all the time, so I'm thinking this must be the white people festival stuff, because at the black festivals, they ain't doing this. They're not putting credit card information on a little plastic chip and all this craziness. And so we spent the first hour and a half at this event at the Tampa Bay Margarita Festival. If you're ever in Tampa and decide to go to this festival, we spent our first hour and a half walking to the festival, standing in line to get in, standing in line for food, and then standing in line to put money on this chip. So by the time we got back in, got us some food, and got one drink, we were just so over the festival that we left. It was just team too much. So if you ever go to the Margarita Festival in Tampa Bay, now you know, be prepared for long lines. You're not going to drink that much because there were lines everywhere. You spent all your time standing in line. So that was that for that. So next thing up is the French Open. How many of you are tennis fans? I am a huge, huge, huge tennis fan. Not just a Serena and Venus Williams tennis fan, but I love tennis. My daughter started playing tennis when she was 7 years old, and she ended up getting a full ride scholarship, not only to one college, but to 2 colleges. And so she got her college degree, paid for in full, off of her ability to play tennis. And that is just one of those sports that you should get your kids into, because they have they have a lot of scholarships. And if you're a minority and you're good in the sport, then you're more likely to get one of those scholarships for college. So this week, well, actually next 2 weeks, is the French Open. So I will be glued to my television set, probably missing some other stuff, watching the French Open. And you guys know that Serena Williams is pregnant, so she's out for the rest of the year. Clay courts is not Venus's best surface, so we're gonna root for her until you'll see how long she can stay in the tournament. But Novak Djokovic is one of my favorites. I love this young up-and-coming guy named Francis Tiafoe, who's out of Washington D.C., but he lost in the first round. He had a really tough opponent, so I'm pretty open, just trying to, as some of the older players leave the field, just trying to get in touch with some of the newer players and find, some people to root for. So if you're watching the French Open, let me know in the comments who you're rooting for. So now let's get to some television. So in my last Afterthoughts, I talked about Monique and that interview that her and her husband Sydney did, where they were talking about Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels and Oprah Winfrey. Well, why did I log on to YouTube over the weekend And there was another hour-long interview. And so I don't know if she's on a real radio station where she's like periscoping her and her husband doing this radio show, or if it's just one of those online radio stations that anybody can put up and create. But anyway, I watched it. So on this one, she was talking about Tyler Perry. Can somebody please tell me why in the world did Tyler Perry call Monique and insert himself into this conversation that we really just need to die and go away? So Monique says that she got a call from Tyler Perry. Once again, Sydney answered the phone, and whoever was on the other end did not acknowledge him, as the man of the house and as her husband. So, they had to go through that whole little rigmarole. So then Monique says that Tyler was coming with the BS, and he was trying to pull the "I'm a billionaire and you need to listen to me" mojo on her. But she said that she had to stop him in his tracks and tell him to put Medea on the line. And let her talk to Medea. So then she goes through this dialogue where it's supposed to be her and Medea having this conversation, and she's telling Medea that Tyler is a punk, and that she wasn't telling Medea, to suck her penis, that she was telling Tyler to do it. And then Medea was responding, and I was just sitting there like, is this a dang old joke? What is she doing? But she insists that Tyler did call her. And basically, Tyler was telling her that he doesn't like Lee Daniels either, and that, what did she say? He didn't like Lee. Lee doesn't like him. So I guess there's a rift between Tyler and Lee. And so he was giving his point of view. So Monique said she had to stop him and let him know. Now, if we have this conversation, that when I have my radio show, I am going to talk about it, and I'm going to put you on blast, and I'm going to tell them everything that was said. And she said that Tyler said that he was okay with that. And so basically, in a nutshell, she's saying that Tyler agreed with everything, that she was saying, but I guess he just didn't like the way she's saying it and the way she's putting it out there and putting everybody on blast. And so the main thing was, when she starred she was selected to do Precious, I think it was, she said that she talked to Tyler, and that Tyler told her how much money to expect for the role, and it was like $3 to $6 million. But then when Lee Daniels, when they got into the contract negotiations, Lee offered her much less. And so I guess the issue that Monique has with Tyler is that here you have these people that have made millions and millions of dollars off of, providing the black community with movies and television shows, but then they aren't willing to pay the black actors and actresses the going rate that white actors and actresses are making. So Monique's point is that they're just as big a part of the problem as the white producers who are underpaying them, and that, Lee was like, okay, well, I'm going to give you extra, because you're Monique. And she was like, no, I need you to give me the, why are you, extra doesn't equate to the going rate, is basically what she was saying. So that's part of her beef. And although I like getting the inner workings and the inside scoop on what goes on in Hollywood, I still don't like the fact that Monique is putting herself out there and starting to look like, the angry black woman who just won't let this go, and she's trying to pull these, other people down, because she's upset and mad. So I still don't like that whole part of the conversation. So one other point I want to make was really what I wanted to say. I really wish that Tyler Perry had not done this, because right now I'm looking at what he did as what P. Diddy would say as a bitch ass move. Like, this was total bitch assness on Tyler Perry's part, because obviously the things that he said to Monique about Lee Daniels on their phone call is probably things that he's been feeling and wanting to say to the industry in general, but he didn't want to ruin his reputation. So he's basically feeding the information to Monique because she's being outspoken, so that she can then get on the show and put it out there, because he's too much of a coward to get out there and say it himself. And I hate people who do that, because, and it's like that in the workplace, even for the low man on the totem pole. If you just work at a regular 9 to 5, people do that all the time. They'll get in the ear of the person who they know, is going to speak up, and then they'll, put their little chatter out there because they know that you're going to get up, in the meeting and say whatever everybody else is saying, and then they get to walk away, with clean hands, but then you're looking like the troublemaker. So, Monique, I hate that you fell for it, but Tyler, that was dead wrong how you set Monique up to put that out there. And then the other thing was Monique was talking about how people are angry about her relationship with her husband and how her husband is all involved in this whole situation, and how, he's telling the story and she's telling the story. And so Monique wanted you guys to know that that's what real couples do. They support each other, they stand by each other, and they have each other's back at all times, and that it makes her feel good to know that she doesn't have to stand alone, that her husband is right there with her, and that he's not bringing her down, he's not ruining her career, and that there are many times when she's like, okay, I'm getting ready to say this or do this, where he pulls her back and say, no, you're not. Because if you do, I can't stand with you because I don't support what you're about to say. So I need you guys to respect Sydney and respect their relationship. Oh, and also I'm going to put the link to that video below so you guys can check it out if you want to. One more thing about that doggone interview, I'm sorry. But when they were talking about, I don't know if you guys ever seen the video from Mega Fest from like 2 years ago where Tyler Perry laid hands on TD Jakes and TD Jakes fell out. So Monique and Sydney were talking about that, and Monique said that if you gave her $1 million, she'd fall out too. So she's insinuating that Tyler made a donation to TD Jakes Ministries for $1 million, and that was why TD Jakes allowed him to lay hands on him. Because you're not supposed to just let anybody lay hands on you. So she said that's why that whole little thing took place, and that TD Jakes was falling out because of that donation, not because Tyler had any type of prophetic power within him to lay hands on TD Jakes. So next up, let's talk about Phaedra again. So I saw a video where Andy Cohen supposedly confirmed that Phaedra won't be coming back to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, but not because of the rumors that were started about Candy and all the drama that took place on the show. But the reason she wasn't invited back for season 10 is because she refuses to air her personal life on the camera. So personally, I don't blame Phaedra because like some stuff y'all just don't need to know. And I think Phaedra was kind of like trying to change her image. Not that she did a good job with it, because then she got caught up in all this drama. But I think Phaedra was ready to leave the show, and I think she was trying to kind of turn things around to not show the women as being so negative and, full of drama, even though that's exactly what she did. But anyway, people are saying that Phaedra is dating Pastor Jamal Bryant, but I highly doubt this, because last year when Jamal Bryant and a couple of other pastors had that little run on Fox over the summer, they introduced their spouses and people they were involved with, and Jamal Bryant introduced the R&B singer Tweet and said that she was his last first lady. So they've been in a relationship, and I know that they have been in that relationship at least up until Valentine's Day, because I think the last time I saw them together, they had did like this radio takeover down in Miami where the host of a show on the Miami radio station was out and asked them to come in and do the show. And they did this really awesome show on relationships, and they were taking calls and asking people questions. And I mean, like, their chemistry together doing the show, it was sort of like a women are from Venus, men are from Mars type things. But the answers that they were given, you can tell that these two are not they may not be equally yoked in terms of how they view situations. So that was really the last time I kind of like really saw them together. He may have mentioned her a couple of more times, like on his periscopes or something, but over the last few months, I don't recall him talking about her that much. And I know, he lives in Baltimore and she lives in California, so that may be why. So unless he started dating Phaedra after Valentine's Day, I'm going to have to say that that is a rumor that the two of them are not dating. So if you guys haven't gotten enough of Phaedra, her and little Aiden will be on television tomorrow night. They are going to appear on this game show called Big Star, Little Star, which airs on the USA Network, and it's where celebrity parents and their children compete to win money for their favorite charity. And so the season premiere, I think this is maybe the third or fourth year, but the season premiere is tomorrow, Wednesday night, May 31st, 9 o'clock p.m. on the USA Network. So check it out. I'm going to watch it and let you guys know what I thought. So then, speaking of Andy Cohen, did you guys get to watch any of the Watch What Happens Live from LA that he did? I just felt like some of those people that was on those shows, on those episodes, especially the big name people like Terrence Howard and Conan O'Brien. I think Kim Kardashian was on there, but she always like flaky, so you never can expect too much for her. But it just seems like some of the people who were on there were kind of forced to be on there. And I think that the reason he did the show from Hollywood was because he was introducing his new talk show where he's the host of the remake of The Love Connection. And so it was just a couple of episodes that seemed really pained. Like the people was just there like, why did I have to be here? So Andy, maybe you're not as popular with the real stars as you think you are. So you may need to come on back to New York and keep interviewing your Real Housewives cast and the people who love to watch the Real Housewives. So speaking of these game shows, so Thursday night, the remake of Love Connection premiered, and then Jamie Foxx was the host of the show called Beat Shazam. So both of them were corny as I don't know what, but I did like Andy Cohen on the Love Connection more than I like Jamie Foxx on Beat Shazam, because Jamie just seemed so forced on that show and like he was just trying too hard. But there was these two black women on there and they came out with their tutus on and doing their little line dance, their little stepping from their whatever sorority they were part of. But that was where their blackness stopped, because they didn't know the answer to any of the black songs that was played. So the premise of the show is you have three teams of two. They play a snippet of music and then you have to guess what the name of the song is. And so, like I said, they didn't know any other black songs, but the song that did them in, had them exiting stage left, was Not Gonna Cry by Mary J. Blige from the movie Waiting to Exhale. Oh my God. I think they said 11 Years was the name of the song. They needed to go, and the people that won, they deserve to win. So I don't know how long that show is going to last. Hopefully it'll get better. Then on Love Connection, they had this black chick, and she had two black guys and a white guy to choose from. So if you're not familiar with the show, the person goes on the show. They have three people to go out on a date with, and then of those three people, they get to pick who they want to go on a second date with. And the audience also gets to pick who they thought was the best person for them. And then if they pick the same person, you get $10,000. And if you don't pick the same person, then you have to say, okay, I either give up the $10,000 and want to go out with the person I chose again on an overnight date, or I'm going to ditch the person I chose and go out with the person that the audience chose. So the black girl, she was Andy called her a round-the-way girl. Because, you know, she had like the weave, the blonde weave, and just the way she was dressed and everything. I mean, she was a beautiful, beautiful woman. But he probably was a little too conservative for her, and he pretty much let it be known that he was not attracted to her. I think on a scale of 1 to 10, he rated her a 5, and he just said that she wasn't what he was looking for. And so you could tell that she was offended and hurt, you know, by the way he said that, you know, she wasn't his type. So she ended up choosing the white guy. The audience chose the guy that didn't like her. So she was like, hell to the no, I am not going out on the second date with him. So she gave up the $10,000, went out with the white guy, and then found out that he was still living with his ex-wife. I said, dang, girl. Like, I would have gone out on that date with him and took that $10,000, and we just would have had a miserable 12 hours or however long they had to be together. It just would have been a miserable time because I would have took that $10,000. I might have even like given him $1,000 to just go sleep on the sofa somewhere, but there was no way I would have walked away without that $10,000. So then next up, last Wednesday, the Wendy Williams show. Stevie J and Jocelyn and baby Bonnie Bella was supposed to be on the Wendy Williams show. When I tell y'all, I set my day around 11 a.m. so that I could be sitting in front of that TV to watch this doggone interview. Wendy came on, did her hot topics, and then 16 minutes into the dang on show, she tells us that they got a phone call. Jocelyn and Stevie J had been fighting, and they wanted to know if she could interview them separately for the show. So Wendy said she told them, no, we booked you guys together. You both need to come out here and sit on this sofa and tell me what's going on, or you can't come on the show at all. And I was so mad, but I was like, Wendy, you could have told us at 11 o'clock when you first came out there that Stevie J and Jocelyn were not going to be there so that we could went on about our day. So Stevie J and Jocelyn, I don't know what's going on with y'all, but y'all need to get it together. And then rumors are, because Jocelyn is trying to move down to Miami. So people are saying that not Real Housewives, that Love and Hip Hop Hollywood may be a done deal, and that they are trying to do a Love and Hip Hop Miami, and that Jocelyn is going to be the star of that show, and that's why she's trying to move down to Miami. But in the last episode of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, Stevie J told her she can go wherever she wants to, but his baby wasn't going nowhere. So maybe that will be the lead in to them actually doing a spinoff of Love and Hip Hop Miami. So and earlier when I was telling you guys about Watch What Happens Live and how the actors just seem really forced. There was one with Terrence Howard on there, and Terrence Howard was talking about something. I think Gabby Centerbay had brought it up when she was on Watch What Happens Live one night, where she was saying that Terrence Howard was so smart and he has this theory of Newton's third law. And he says that 1 × 1 = 2. So then Andy brought that up, and Terrence decides that he's going to explain this to us. So it kind of made sense the way he was explaining it. So it's basically an action, one action times another action creates a reaction. But if 1 × 1 = 1, you can't have an action times an action equal an action. It has to create a reaction. So anyway, Terrence says that he is going to donate $1 million to any accredited scientific university in the world who can build a model to explain his theory of 1 × 1 = 2. So if you are a science major, help your college get that $1 million. Don't let him throw that out there on the table and then get away with not living up to it. So next up, we have The Bachelorette. So I am not really a Bachelorette watcher, The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, because I think it is like the corniest show on earth. And plus the thought that these people are sitting there kissing multiple people, like tongue kissing, is so nasty and so disgusting to me. I'm just thinking like mono is somewhere hopping around. Like somebody is going to have mono by the end of this season. So I've been kind of checking in and out on this season of The Bachelorette because they have the first Bachelorette, and she is a girl named Rachel. She's a lawyer out of Texas, I believe, and she looks like a younger version of Robin Givens. So last night on the show, brothers, why can't y'all act right? So there's this black guy on there named Demario, and Demario really is not all that handsome to me. I mean, compared to some of the other black guys that's on the show. But Demario's white girlfriend showed up and pretty much spilled the tea and said that they were still living together, and that he got up and left one day and never came back. And then 3 days later, she was watching the ending of The Bachelor from the last season, and that Demario walked up on the stage and gave Rachel a gift. And so She done showed up on the set and just put man out on blast. But let me tell you something, Rachel is a real sister. Because Rachel said, you're not going to play me. You're not going to make me look like a fool. I don't know why you're here. She said, but right now I need you to get the F out. But she said the word. I try not to curse. But she said, I need you to get the F out of here. So all DeMario could do was leave. But he did show up later on in the show, saying that he needed to talk to her and apologize. So I don't know if she's going to let him back on the show or what's going to go on, but I'm just like, from what I have seen of this season of The Bachelorette, I don't know if it's always this much tomfoolery going on or if they just got some clowns on there for this sister to choose from, but it's a hot mess. But I'm going to be back next Monday to watch it to see what Mr. DeMario had to say and whether or not she lets him back in, because it looks like it's going to be a lot of tension and friction between the men there. And then people are also saying that they think she's going to choose one of the white guys. So black folks who's tuning in simply because she's a black bachelorette, don't get your hopes up too high, because she may not choose a brother. Next up, T.I. and Tiny. Last night was the end of their show. I can't even think of the name of the show because I don't really watch it. Oh, it's a cute little show. Family Hustle. T.I. and Tiny's Family Hustle. So the show ended last night, and so they decided to wrap up their marriage as well and kind of like give us a glimpse into what's going on in their breakup, because the two have filed for divorce. And so I thought it was kind of cheesy how they did that. They took this very private situation and kind of folded it into the end of the show, but keeping with the Cosby theme, because they were supposed to be like the modern day Cosby family. So keeping with that, they came to an agreement that they were going to separate but still be friends, because even though they outgrew each other, they still want to hold it together and be good parents and still maintain their friendship. And so for you guys that don't know the whole history, T.I. has a checkered past. He's done time in prison. I think Tiny copped to one of the charges that would have given him more time, and so I think she got probation, but he actually got jail time. So while T.I. was away, doing his jail time, Tiny was supposed to stay and take care of the kids. And so T.I. said that the agreement was that Tiny, he would buy Tiny this big house, the cars, whatever she wanted, in exchange for her being like a stay-at-home mom and raising the kids and all that good stuff. Well, in growing up, they grew apart. And so Tiny, like most women, she developed her own interests. She wanted to do more outside the house. She wanted to explore, because she's from the group Escape, so she has a musical background. And remember, she started the whole girl group with her daughter, and so she had things that she wanted to do. And then remember her and she kind of did their own they tried to do a couple of little businesses and had the reality TV show. And so I guess maybe T.I. felt that she wasn't holding up to her end of the bargain, so he kind of started pulling away. And then of course she wanted to maintain, so it sounds to me like it was more of a communication problem, that as they started growing apart, they didn't really realize they were growing apart, and then things just got out of control. And so then we have the issue where Tiny claims that T.I. had a sexual relationship with one of her employees, and then the people on the blog are saying that it was one of the girls that was in the girl group. And T.I., he never admitted that he did it or denied that he didn't do it. He kind of talked over it and then brought up the fact that Tiny had an affair with Floyd Mayweather, but then Tiny, and they never said Floyd's name, but then Tiny was saying that this friend of hers, she only went to him when her and T.I. were having problems, and that they never slept together. So she vehemently denies that her and Floyd Mayweather or any other man have never slept together. And so, this is just a reminder, don't go outside your marriage to fix what's wrong inside of your marriage. And so it was just really because I really like those two together, and I think that they are stronger and better together than they are apart. So let's just hope that they take a break, maybe take a year or two, or however long it takes them to come to their senses and realize that they really do love each other and they really do belong together, and they get this thing back together, because you guys built too much together to just let this thing fly out the window. And then they had that scene, you know, where they sit down together before the daughter, the little baby, she just turned 1, I think, and she was getting christened, and so they were having like a family dinner and everything, so they wanted to come together before all that. And I mean, when they were sitting down talking, they were talking like two people who really love each other, really care about each other. They just don't know how to fix what's wrong. So I'm gonna need y'all to come together. You know, T.I. says that, you know, he's not gonna be angry and bitter because she's still his best friend, and he wants to maintain that. And then, you know, they had the scene at the christening. They did the christening, and it was sort of like their marriage vows over again, so maybe that kind of made them think. And then when they went to do the family dinner, and Tiny was sitting there, and she said that she was really cold. You know, he took off his jacket and gave her the jacket to put on. And I'm just like, come on, man, y'all got to stop this. Be the example that the world sees of people getting beyond their issues and fighting for their love and fighting for their relationship, because I think you guys just gave up way too soon on this. And so the show ended, you know, with them and the kids back at the house, you know, that big old mansion that they have, because, you know, Tiny went and bought her another house, and I think that was another issue, was that she bought the house without his permission or whatever. So they were standing around and talking about the night and everything, and then the older kids start saying that they were leaving to go do, because I think the oldest daughter, you know, she has her own place. The oldest son, I think he's in college. And so they were basically saying, well, you know, I'm getting ready to get out of here because I got to go do this, I got to go do that, I got to go do this. And then it ended up where it was just Tiny and T.I. and the baby. And so they were sitting there talking, and then Tiny was looking at him like, okay, well, I need the baby so I can go. So now it's like the reality is setting in that he's there alone in that big old house by himself. And like, what is he going to do? So then he walks Tiny and the kids out and get them in the car, and they say goodbye. And then he goes back in the house. And then as he's walking through the house, because they've already started, you know, moving out of the house. And so he's like turning out the lights as he's walking through, like reflecting over their time there and the realization that his marriage is over and what's the next step. And then the scene fades to black as I think he entered the bedroom, and then he was getting ready to close the door on the bedroom. And then that's kind of how the scene ended. And I was like, come on, y'all, work it out. Get back together, you know, because y'all really were cute together. And I mean, and both of you have really grown and matured before our eyes, and those kids are really blessed to have both of you as parents. So not only work it out for your family, but work it out because I believe that you two do really love each other. And so that was it, guys. Let me know what you thought. You know, thanks for hanging out with me and listening to my reflections on life over the past week. And you can rate the video, share it, subscribe to the channel. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.